Yeah, thanks, Eric, and thanks for having us today. Really appreciate Soligent gathering this group. So let's kick things off. I want to thank everybody for coming today. Today we're going to talk about partnering with Generac, what we've been up to as a company with some of our recent acquisitions, understanding our PWRcell platform, which is our energy solar plus storage offering. And then we're going to talk a little bit about how we're selling PWRcell to customers and some tips for selling in the virtual world. So for those of you that aren't super familiar with Generac, we're a 60-year-old US-based $2.2 billion company. We're primarily known for building the home standby generator industry. Today we have over 2 million residential customers that rely on Generac as their primary source of backup power. We own 75% of market share in this category. So how did we get there? 600 of our 6,000 employees are vertically integrated engineers. So we're known for building quality products. Now, aside from the home standby generator industry, you may have seen Generac at your local retail stores, Home Depot, Home Hardware, those types of things. We make a variety of outdoor chore products as well as large commercial industrial generators and towables. So after being in this business for so long, Generac decided that the writing was on the wall and started to see that the way that times were turning towards renewables. So last year in March, they made their first acquisition of Neurio Technology. So Neurio is a leading data, energy science, home energy monitoring and data science company. So about 40 or 50 hardware and software engineers out of Vancouver, BC, really focused at the time on monitoring, but had done a bunch of background work in energy management in regard to home energy, solar, and storage systems. Then the next month, they picked up Hiker Energy out of Portland, Maine, a manufacturer of a fully integrated solar plus storage system founded by MIT engineers. It's a really elegant plug-and-play platform. And so they put these two companies together, and we formed the Generac Clean Energy Business Group. Now, the Clean Energy Group within Generac is a separate business channel. So we've got our home standby generator business. It's in the consumer power channel. And now we have the Clean Energy Group. So we've taken this monster powerhouse of a manufacturer who is known for building quality products. We paired it with a monitoring and data science company, as well as a pretty sleek solar plus storage platform. So a few things about how Generac goes to market and how they've gone to market in the home standby business for the last 7 or 8 years, really successfully on the marketing side. So Generac actually launches national media campaigns, television ads, and they did this on the home standby generator side. And what they would do is drive customers to call 1-800 numbers. They would then qualify those customers through the consumer sales team. They would do basic qualifications so they could understand maybe if this type of product was in their budget or if it would meet their power needs. Then they actually book in-home appointments for their certified installers. So last year, Generac booked over 100,000 in-home appointments for their certified installers on the generator side. And so we're going to use the same playbook in clean energy. We've already launched this. So in January, we started running ads that talk to homeowners about the value of solar plus storage. We drove those calls to 1-800 numbers, and we've been booking appointments for our certified PWRcell installers. We're going to talk a little bit about how you can get certified coming up. But I just want to really have everybody understand how much Generac invests in creating these customer leads for their installers. So becoming PWRcell certified with Generac. So we offer an 8-hour course. It's about 2 hours on sales, 5 hours on installation, code, and commissioning. The class is about $100. So now it's being offered online. It used to be exclusively in person. And even if you attend online, you're going to get 5 NAPCEP credits. Then you complete some onboarding paperwork to finalize certification, and you're going to receive what we call a Tech ID, which gives you an escalated path to level 2 technical support. Your certification is valid for 1 year. And there's valuable content in these trainings for all groups: product managers, business owners, technicians, salespeople. At the end of today, we're going to be giving you some links on how you can go to a more detailed technical presentation. That's a free 1-hour session on how you could sign up and register for the full PWRcell certification course. We're also going to give you some links to some other resources, demonstrations of certain tools that we have. So be prepared to get that email after today's session. So speaking of tools, Generac also offers an end-to-end solar design and proposal tool that we call PWRplay Clean Energy. We partnered with a company called Soligent, who helped us to design this customized tool. So it's a Generac private label tool. And we've taken a lot of the basics that Soligent offered, but we've also extended it out to include battery storage sizing. So with this tool, you can manage the leads that Generac sends out to you. So you can select your appointment times and accept or decline your leads. And I think now's actually a great time to mention that these are dedicated leads that we're generating just for that certified installer. So it's not a shared lead. That appointment would go directly to you, and you could choose whether you want to accept it or pass it along. So this end-to-end solar design tool, we are offering for an annual subscription of only $400. Similar tools on the market can charge up to $200 a month. So you're going to get shading analysis down to a full legally binding proposal all in one tool. So it's a good time to mention the support behind the scenes. So in the Generac Clean Energy division, we've got our contractor onboarding team. That's the team that's going to help you get signed up for training, signed up and trained up on our PWRplay tool, if that interests you. We've got our inside sales rep group, which is highly technical. They're there to assist with all pre-install questions. They can review your one-line diagrams and any application questions that you might have about a particular install. Then we've got our highly experienced industry vets, our market development managers. That's our outside team out in the field across the country. We've got our customer support team. So it's important to think about the fact that Generac offers 24/7, 365 customer support. So that means that homeowners have the ability to call Generac anytime if they've got questions about their system. So in the middle of the night, if they need to reboot something, they don't have to call the installer, they can call us. And our technical support team, also available through those tech IDs that I mentioned that you get through certification, you can get direct access to that technical support team and bypass customer support. So Generac is highly dedicated to ensuring that our customers are taken care of. They pick up the phone when you guys call, and I think that that's a really valuable aspect of what we're up to. So let's get into the PWRcell platform. Now, I'm not going to give a super technical presentation today. We will have a more detailed webinar for that, but I do want to go over the basics of the system and outline a couple of the different components. So this is PWRcell, Generac's solar plus storage platform. The number one factor that makes this system unique is that it's a fully integrated solution. That means Generac makes all of the components, from the optimizers and the rapid shutdown devices on the roof, to the inverter, the battery, the monitoring, and energy management intelligence. It's a plug-and-play ecosystem where the components are designed to work together. So for example, when you connect the battery, the inverter will auto-detect and auto-configure it, similar to an experience you would have when connecting Apple devices like iPhones and Macs. So an immediate advantage here for the contractor is the ease of installation. It's going to be simpler and faster than installing like a Tesla or an LG Chem battery, where you're dealing with components designed by different manufacturers. So aside from owning the hardware end-to-end, Generac also designs its own software. We're not just a hardware company who's trying to add in monitoring. We're a data science-driven software company and a hardware company that have come together to bring you a platform that truly integrates. So let's start by taking a look at the inverter. PWRcell is a hybrid DC-coupled inverter. We have two models, a 7.6 kilowatt single phase intended for residential use, as well as an 11.4 that can be used in small commercial applications. There's a built-in transfer switch, so no separate gateway, auto transformer, or smart meter required, with a 50 amp breaker to your protected critical loads panel. So that's significant surge capability compared to 25 amps in a SolarEdge or 30 amps in a Tesla. So PWRcell is going to provide 8 kilowatts of continuous power. We're also including universal clip-on consumption CTs, so homeowners can track their usage with or without a battery. So for those of you that aren't tech savvy, another handy feature is the local screen on the front of the inverter. You can monitor your system by walking right up to it, check the state of charge of the battery. You can look at how much their PV is making, and so on. So not getting too technical, but it is important for you to understand the scalability of the PWRcell platform. You've got a hybrid inverter that can be installed with PV only. So we consider this a storage-ready install that's ready to plug and play battery, add on at any time. So you can add more storage incrementally as needs change. And if the customer needs the resiliency of a home standby generator, coming soon, we're going to have a solution for you to add that in too. So let's consider the max system configuration. PWRcell offers a huge amount of power. You can install up to 15 kilowatts of PV and 34 kilowatt hours of storage on a single 7.6 kilowatt inverter. So to sum up the inverter component, everything connects on a DC bus for simplicity and higher efficiency. A built-in transfer switch saves component costs and simplifies the installation. And you're going to get 12 kilowatts of peak with solar plus energy storage, which means you'd need 2 Teslas or 2 storage inverters with 2 LG chems for the same power output and capacity that we offer. So let's take a look at what the battery looks like. The PWRcell storage component consists of a battery cabinet where a pre-wired battery management unit lives, and stackable battery modules. So one PWRcell cabinet can manage 3 to 6 battery modules, and each battery module is 2.85 kilowatt hours, with a maxed out cabinet providing 17 kilowatt hours of usable storage. So remember, a single inverter can manage up to 2 fully stacked cabinets or 34 kilowatt hours of usable storage. This means you can start with 8.6 and add modules at any time to meet the customer's exact needs. So you're not limited to adding storage in 9 or 13 kilowatt hour chunks like some of the competitors if the homeowner doesn't need it. Another key feature is ease of install. An empty PWRcell cabinet weighs about 75 pounds. So you're not going to need a special crane to get a huge 200-pound monolithic platform up onto the wall. An individual module is about 40, 45 pounds. So if your customer wants to add more storage, you don't even have to roll a truck. You can easily transport one of these modules in a car. And the cabinets are already pre-wired, so all you need to do is insert that extra module, clip it in, and the plug-and-play system will automatically reconfigure for that extra battery capacity. So not only is PWRcell giving you flexibility with install and upgradability, it's also not forcing your customer to pay for something that they don't need. So you can use any amount of battery with any amount of PV. You're not forced into using 2 PWRcell 15s if you have more than 7 kilowatts of solar, like you would with a Tesla. You're also not having to have them pay for a main service panel upgrade. So looking at the roof electronics, PWRcell uses what we call a PV link, or a substring optimizer on the roof to connect solar to the inverter. So this allows us to group panels together and optimize them with one MPPT device as opposed to putting a micro or optimizer on every panel. So one PV link manages anywhere from 2 to 9 solar panels or about 2.5 kilowatts. The optimizers are panel agnostic, so as long as you're using a DC PV mod, it will be compatible. A typical PWRcell system uses 3 to 4 PV links, up to a maximum of 6. So we're monitoring performance at the substring level, power curves, production, and so on. So you still have that visibility. In terms of shading, if you have shading from a singular model, you're still making power from all the other modules. So we get into the shading mitigation effects in more detail in the follow-up webinar sessions that we'll be inviting you to at the end of today. So the main advantage of the PV link is that you can significantly reduce the amount of power electronics on the roof and maximize the energy production. These devices are constantly running algorithms to ensure that your panels are making as much energy as possible. So the PWRcell system is also NEC 2017 and 2020 compliant for rapid shutdown. How we achieve this is with an inline device called the SnapRS. The SnapRS is a passive device and doesn't contain any power electronics. It's a solid state switch. So it allows us to shut off voltage from flowing between panels in the event of a safety shutdown. So you simply snap one of these devices with standard MC4 type connection in line between the panels. So there's no need for mounting or grounding. And because there aren't any moving parts or power electronics inside them, the advantage of this solution is that it's less likely to fail over time. So the final component of our fully integrated system is the monitoring. PWRcell uses a single app for homeowners, we call it PWRview, to help them monitor system performance and stay accountable for their consumption. So features include real-time monitoring of PV production, storage capacity, and energy consumption. We also offer live and historical insights, including bill tracking, forecasting, and reporting. So for installers, Generac will soon be launching PWRfleet, a whole fleet monitoring platform designed specifically for installers with you guys in mind what your needs are. So it's going to keep you in the know on how your installed systems are performing. Features will include installer-only alerts with parameters that you can set for things like loss of production or offline systems. So stay tuned for more on PWRfleet that's coming up with our launch just around the corner. So that wraps up our section on the components of the PWRcell system. Now I'm going to turn the presentation over to my colleague, Kory Calkins, to talk about a few of the key selling points to keep in mind of how PWRcell provides value to the homeowner. So Kory, over to you.
Thank you very much, Kelly. Yes, without diving too far into technical specifications, there are a few design aspects to keep in mind when explaining the value of PWRcell solar plus storage systems to homeowners. Let's start with the operational advantages to PWRcell versus AC coupled solutions. As you can see here on our monitor right now, we've got the difference, we've got the PWRcell system on the left-hand side and an AC coupled system on the right-hand side. And as you can see here, there is, some pretty blaring red marks on here to kind of indicate a little bit of, the one vendor, one inverter, one app, one support, one warranty, and all-in-one type vertically integrated solution. That 360, 24/7, 365 support, single warranty, and the app. And then when you start looking at AC coupled solutions, you actually dive into a number of different vendors when you're dealing with that system. It could be one or two different solar manufacturers, one to two different battery manufacturers, and then we start to look at the apps. What are the apps that you're going to be dealing with in those? And some of the other aspects that you start to deal with is that Tesla requires 2 power walls on almost every installation. All of a sudden, it isn't as a very cheap system anymore. Those 2 power walls can only self-consume. They cannot sell capacity, and they don't have the ability to do demand charge reduction, which is inherent to our platform. Finally, a common scenario, a power wall will shut off the PV array in the event of a grid outage, especially when it is perfectly sunny outside. A homeowner with power walls installed would actually see on a perfectly sunny day that the power wall is discharging instead of backing up the house from the solar. So that's one inefficiency that we have, but then we also have, the number of components and things like that as well. One of the inherent programming features to our system is that you can program it for self-consumption, and then any of the excess energy that is in the battery can then be pushed out to the utility grid to sell that excess capacity. That brings a lot of extra value to the system, and also it allows you to size the system for the customer's needs and not because you have to. And I think that's what we have to share today, and I think we should also keep in mind that when we're looking at these systems, this is an all-in-one solution, so one vendor when you're going through that design process to support you from end to end. Kelly?
Thanks, Kory. So moving on, we are going to dive into a little bit on tips for selling in a virtual world. So let's take a quick look at the current state of affairs. We're all familiar with what's happening with COVID-19, and we all understand it's going to have an impact on our businesses. So in terms of the industry, it might be useful for you to know what we're seeing. First, as of now, many solar manufacturing and distribution companies are still operating despite social distancing measures, as they've been deemed an essential service. So second, the demand for resiliency or traditional backup power or solar-powered energy storage is still there. In fact, we actually booked a record number of virtual in-home consultations back-to-back 2 days last week just in clean energy. So while the McKinseys of the world have reduced the overall storage forecast for 2020, we're still expecting energy storage sales to double this year from last. The big complication in our businesses is that social distancing is going to change the way we go to market, conduct consultations, and how we close. So contractors who are able to effectively use technology are the ones who are going to thrive during this time. So note the key takeaway from the current state of affairs is that the demand is still there. So how are businesses interpreting what it means to be essential in this time? The U.S. Department of Homeland Security defines Generac as being a critical infrastructure industry, and any company under this designation has a responsibility to continue building products. So for those of you who don't know, companies supporting the energy sector through the renewable energy infrastructure are also commonly being deemed critical. So as long as your customers are comfortable with you conducting your work, you can continue your operations as things stand today. It's a good time to mention that it's important to work with your city or county authority, your AHJ, to be aware of their status on accepting and issuing permits and conducting inspections during this time. By working with your AHJ, you'll have the most accurate updates on your specific city and county. So now let's talk about how we can effectively work in this new environment. So looking at the traditional sales process, starting with lead generation and following through to closing, almost every step is being impacted by the new reality, but some more significantly than others. But we're gonna have some recommendations for you for every step. So in terms of lead generation, we need to look at emerging trends. Couples are home together and television viewership is through the roof. If you're interested in TV advertising, the lack of sports on television today has homeowners watching news, fitness, and religious channels. We recommend doubling down in these areas. Also, we recommend bumping up your spend in social media and taking advantage of the low advertising costs of TV streaming stations like Netflix and Hulu. And if you haven't already built a referral program, now's the time. Leverage your existing customer base to sell for you. Offer them rewards for every referral closed and show them how they can pay off their systems even faster by giving you solid leads. So in your online form fills on your websites, or if you're doing any digital advertising, we recommend adding some additional questions. Can you do a FaceTime, Zoom, or Skype? Or how old is your house or your roof? And what's your average utility bill? Lastly, we recommend in your marketing messaging that you emphasize financing options and savings, as homeowners are much less likely to write checks in this unknown economy. So once you've generated the lead, it's time for your pre-call preparation. So get ready to do some research. The challenge in a virtual world is building credibility without that face-to-face meeting. So when you meet face-to-face, expert salespeople know how to build rapport immediately. Without that face-to-face, we should consider other ways of building rapport. So first, do some high-level research to see if you have any common connections. I would recommend a professional platform like LinkedIn. Something like Facebook could make a customer feel a little bit encroached upon. So try to leverage professional connections, anybody that you might have in common. So we highly recommend getting a solar planning tool like our PowerPlay Clean Energy platform. So then you can put the homeowner's address right into the solar planning tool prior to your initial call. So this way you can assess the roof and calculate their potential savings before that first call. So you've got an idea of how to present the return on investment in advance. So when you place that initial call to the customer, have a plan. Get them excited right off the bat with a script that might start off like, Mike and Mary, great news. It looks like you have a good roof for solar with minimal shading. And based on the average bill you sent us, your estimated savings are between $20,000 to $25,000 over 30 years. Then take the opportunity to tell them about your company and your story and build their trust in your brand. So during this initial call, it's also a great time to ask them to download Zoom or Skype. and let them know you're going to need them to take all of the same pictures and videos that you would have taken if you were in the home. So the attic, the basement, 4 walls of the garage, the exterior of the house, and the roof if they have the ability. So we also recommend pictures of the main service panel and a listing of what's on each breaker and what breaker space is available. Another tip, give them a deadline so that you can turn around the official proposal quickly. For instance, can you have those pictures and a copy of your utility bill back to me by 9 p.m. so that I can have a proposal to review with you tomorrow? Then make a specific appointment, ask that both decision makers attend, and send them a calendar invite. Try to get them to accept that appointment while you're still on the phone. Once your homeowner sent in the pictures, the utility bill, and agreed to a time for a virtual proposal meeting, it's time to finalize their quote and prepare how you will present it. Here's a really key takeaway from almost all the recommendations we're going to make today is don't send the proposal in advance via email. Review the proposal live with the customer over video, then send the document. There's a chance if you were to just email the quote, the homeowner might take one look at the dollar figure and not show up for a follow-up call. So use the rapport insights that you gained during your research. Hey, Mike, I noticed you're connected to Jim Smith on LinkedIn. We just put in a system for him and his family last summer. So as you're telling them your company story, walk them through the financial analysis of their unique system. Get them excited about what a solar plus storage platform can do to meet their energy needs. And at this point, it's a good time to describe to them what an installation will look like. We'll send 4 experienced professionals to install your system. Our crews follow all PPE guidelines and have been specifically trained to install in the new world of social distancing. We expect an installation to look like this and to take about a day and a half. Then close the deal and ask for a deposit to make the deal stick. So remember, most contractors in this environment are just going to be getting a bill, designing a system, and then sending a quote. So use every opportunity you can to establish a relationship, build trust, and to differentiate yourself. So to conclude this section on tips on virtual selling, I just want to touch on a few of our best practices. Number 1, professionalism is key during this time. Be conscious of not selling to the virus. Take the concept of social distancing seriously, and not just for you, but for the customer. Don't make light or humor of the situation. And if you do take a low-touch approach where you're having some interaction with the home, set expectations ahead of time and be overly conscientious. Detail the agreed-upon path outside or inside the home with a schedule and stick to it. Make sure you test technology before your calls. Your virtual appointments are just as important as your previous in-home meetings, and so prepare yourself to put your best foot forward. Adjust your advertising spend to leverage new trends. Again, the research that our teams have done show you should be focusing on social media, streaming, as well as news, fitness, and religious TV programs. So no and low touch appointments doesn't mean that they have to be impersonal. So build rapport wherever you can. Definitely do your research on customers before that initial call, but not to an encroaching extent. Utilizing platforms, professional platforms like LinkedIn and business connections will help you build credibility. Also, make sure you're utilizing referrals and getting people to create reviews for you. And most importantly, I think right now is to leverage technology. So there's tools available. We've seen the demand is still there. And I think the time is now to really set your business apart and win at selling in the virtual world. So be on the lookout for more information about our Intro to PWRcell webinars. It's about 45 minutes to an hour session, which goes into our technology in more detail. So from there, you can sign up for a full certification training, which is by a webinar for the foreseeable future. And as we mentioned, become a PWRfleet partner. So from there, you'll start receiving leads and building your business with Generac. So I think now we're going to turn the presentation over. We're getting a ton of questions from you guys.